Psychological safety is the cornerstone of thriving teams and workplaces. In fact, research shows that when psychological safety exists, individuals feel valued, the collaboration deepens, and innovation increases. As a leader, one critical but often overlooked factor that affects your chances of creating psychological safety is your attachment style. Hi, I'm Beth Strathman. Welcome back to my channel. Please like this video and do subscribe to my channel for my latest videos on becoming a better leader and leading teams. In this video, we'll look at how your attachment style affects your ability to create psychological safety. Also, I'll put a link in the description to a free quiz you can take online to find your attachment style if you're curious. Before we dive into looking at what an attachment style is and what the 4 variations of those styles are, let's just do a quick refresher on psychological safety. I do have other videos on psychological safety, and I will also link those to this video. So psychological safety is a term coined by Harvard professor Amy Edmondson. It's the belief that the work environment is a safe place to risk expressing yourself authentically. This means you feel you can ask questions when you don't know the answer. You can volunteer your ideas when they might be a little out there, or you can admit mistakes that might be embarrassing for you. As a leader, your behavior is important because of the degree of influence you have by virtue of your status and your authority over others in the workplace. That means your behavior is especially important for creating and ensuring psychological safety. And this means your attachment style is relevant to how you relate to others, and it influences the type of work environment you create. So do you create climates of trust and safety, or do your tendencies based on your attachment style undermine trust and safety? Let's now look at what attachment style means along with the 4 main attachment styles psychologists currently use. Your attachment style is the way you characteristically relate to others in close or important relationships, like those at work. It's primarily shaped by your early childhood experience with caregivers, and it greatly influences how you interact with others, especially when you're under stress. In other words, it shapes how you approach trust, communication, and connection, all key elements to fostering a productive, safe environment. Thus, your attachment style will impact the degree to which you're able to build and maintain the conditions necessary to create adequate psychological safety. Now, there are 4 attachment styles, one of which is your primary style. The first attachment style I'm going to talk about is secure attachment. If you exhibit a secure attachment style, you have confidence in relationships, you have good emotional balance, and you trust others. With this attachment style, you can create psychological safety more easily than other people can. This is because you value open dialogue, you encourage diverse perspectives, and you handle mistakes with understanding rather than being judgmental. Your ability to regulate your emotions and communicate effectively makes team members feel respected and valued. For example, with this style, you'll most likely respond to a team member's mistake by focusing on solutions to encourage learning and growth instead of assigning blame. The next attachment style is anxious attachment. If you have an anxious attachment style, you tend to show a need for approval. You might be sensitive to rejection, and you may have a fear of failure. With this kind of a style, you may unintentionally undermine psychological safety by seeking excessive validation or reacting emotionally to feedback. While your empathy can make you approachable, your heightened sensitivity might discourage team members from speaking openly because they fear an overly emotional response from you. As a leader with an anxious attachment style, you might overreact to constructive criticism, leaving team members hesitant to provide honest feedback in the future. The third attachment style is avoidant attachment. With an avoidant attachment style, you can be emotionally detached. You might prefer to be more independent and be uncomfortable with being vulnerable. This means you may struggle to create psychological safety due to your reluctance to engage with others on an emotional level. You might dismiss team members and their concerns or avoid difficult conversations, which can lead to a lack of trust and openness. While you often excel at logical decision making with this style, your emotional distance can make others feel unsupported. For example, you might downplay an employee's request for feedback and inadvertently signal that their contributions are not valued. And finally, the fourth style is disorganized attachment. If you have a disorganized attachment style, you exhibit unpredictable behavior, which is a mix of anxious and avoidant tendencies, as I described previously. With a disorganized style, you often create inconsistent environments. The unpredictability comes from shifting between over-involvement and detachment, and it can confuse team members and erode their trust. This is the opposite of creating psychological safety, which requires consistency, something that might be a struggle for you to provide. For example, you might alternate between micromanaging and neglecting your team and end up creating an environment of uncertainty that stifles open communication. Now, the latest statistics I've seen report that approximately 50% of the U.S. population has a secure attachment style, which is great. This means that the remaining 50% of people have one of the other three types. So even if you think you have an anxious, an avoidant, or a disorganized attachment style, you're not doomed to be a bad leader. You just have a lot to learn. You can still develop the qualities needed to foster adequate psychological safety. Here's how. One of the first things you need to do, or could do, is to raise your self-awareness. Just by learning more about attachment styles, you're already becoming more aware. So continue raising your awareness by recognizing how your attachment style influences how you show up for your team. Reflect on how your behaviors might be perceived by your team, and then adjust where necessary. Second, to start regulating your emotions. Use that increased self-awareness and start practicing how to manage your emotions, especially in high-pressure situations. Strive to model calmness, which will increase trust between you and your team. When they are able to reasonably predict that you won't break down or lose your cool easily, they'll trust you more because you've created more psychological safety. Third, become an active listener. Show genuine interest in team members' ideas and concerns with behaviors like eye contact and head nodding. Avoid showing dismissive or defensive reactions, even if feedback from others feels uncomfortable. Fourth, be consistent. Become reliable and predictable in your actions. A steady presence helps build trust and reduces anxiety among your team members. Fifth, seek feedback. Encourage open dialogue by inviting and acting on feedback from your team and others. This demonstrates your humility and builds trust. And finally, the sixth tip is to invest in your own personal growth. Coaching, leadership training, or even therapy if needed can help you address attachment-related challenges and develop more secure leadership behaviors. In conclusion, your attachment style shapes how you as a leader relate to others, and that in turn influences your ability to create an environment of trust and safety. Secure attachment naturally supports psychological safety, and if you have a different style, you can develop the skills needed to foster a safe and collaborative environment by cultivating self-awareness and prioritizing trust-building behaviors. You can overcome attachment-related barriers and create a psychologically safe workplace where everyone feels safe to contribute, innovate, and thrive. Thanks for watching.